Hey, this is Yanni from Oly PRformance, and today I'm going to talk about why you should be doing both a mobility routine and a warm-up. So first I want to differentiate the difference between these two things because these are interchangeable words that people will use and it can be pretty confusing. So mobility is just how well can you get into positions? How well can you hold positions? And specifically, we talk about Olympic weightlifting. So mobility is how well can I get into a squat, an overhead squat or a front squat? How well can I get the barbell over my head for a split jerk? How well can I get into a front rack position for a clean? That's mobility. Can I get into those positions? Can I achieve those positions and sustain them and not feel like I'm too restricted or can't get in them? A warm-up is just what I call a primer. It's supposed to prime you for whatever you're about to do that day. So a primer is really just, so for example, if you're going to do a clean that day, you want to grab an empty barbell and do different variations of the clean. So you would want to get into front squats, power cleans, hang cleans, pulls, high pulls, everything that is going to prep you for that clean. It's just at a much lighter intensity, much lighter weight, because it's just an empty barbell. So that's the difference between mobility and warm up. Now that I've distinguished between the two, what we want to think about here is what should we be doing in each one? So I think mobility is a huge buzzword anymore, and everybody thinks that mobility just means I should be doing stretching, soft tissue work, and just going muscle by muscle and spending half hour getting there early at the gym and just going over and over and over again. And it doesn't need to take this long. This may seem counterintuitive, but if you want to get better mobility, just spend more time in the positions that you're trying to improve. So if you struggle with getting into a squat, maybe your ankles feel stiff, maybe your hips feel stiff, and you're struggling to get into a front squat or an overhead squat, you want to maybe spend more time in that position. So a really good way of doing this is, again, keeping it simple. Take a barbell, maybe put very light weight on it, get into a squat, hold it for a period of time, stand back up, and do a few rounds of this. This is going to allow you to get better mobility, whether it's your ankle that's stiff, your hip that's stiff. It's going to allow the joint to gradually ease into that movement and achieve that position a lot better. This is much more relevant and has a lot more carryover than the typical, right? Which is get on the floor, stretch your hamstrings, stretch your quads, stretch your calves. You can beat a dead horse like that all day, and it doesn't mean that you're ever going to get into a better squat. So that's mobility, and it can be really targeted to whatever you're facing. So maybe the squat is fine, but the front rack position needs work. So figuring out, this is where having a great coach comes in as well, having somebody to be able to analyze those things and say, okay, this is why you're struggling with the front rack position, and here's how we can get into that position better by working on these 2 or 3 things every single time when you get to the gym. It shouldn't take very long. 5 to 10 minutes, I think, is perfectly fine. I don't believe you need to spend 45 minutes early stretching. I also don't think you need to just get there and grip it and rip it. There is an in-between. So spend a little bit of time on mobility when you get there. Next thing is a warm-up. This should also take maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And that warm-up is truly, like I said earlier, taking an empty barbell and just working through the different variations of whatever you're going to do that day. If you are getting into a snatch that day, maybe you do a couple of, be very specific with how you regiment this, but this should include things like power snatches, and overhead squats, pulls, high pulls, hang position, all these different variations, just getting your nervous system, your body primed for that movement. It gets prepared. It feels ready. Your body recognizes the pattern. So that way, when the bar gets loaded with weight, it feels more comfortable and you're ready to roll, and you don't feel like the first few sets are a loss of time. So if you found this valuable, I get into a lot more detail with this in future videos. So make sure to subscribe below. Also, you can head over to my Instagram page. I have plenty of content that covers this exact thing in more detail. So go over to my Instagram page. That's Oly PRformance. It's Oly _PRformance for more.